I'm Nancy Kowalik, your South Jersey Main Street real estate agent, and today we are off-site at the Swedesboro Brewing Company with founder and owner Marvin Bowe. Thank you so much for having us here today.
My pleasure, Nancy. Thank you.
And even loading us up when I'm tasting, just for the record here, a little bit. Love your smell. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Burroughs Best, one of our favorite beers, light beer, a Czech Pilsner, so kind of a European-style lager.
Nice. And I've heard many things about this peanut butter flavor, so tell me a little bit about this one.
Sure. So one of our staples or signature beers is Kingsway. It's a milk stout, really smooth on the palate, and we've done two variations of it so far this year. One was our anniversary beer, which was a 1-year barrel-aged bourbon stout. So that's what we call our Emperor's Cut.
Nice.
And what you're drinking right now is our peanut butter chocolate version.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard it's good. So cheers.
Cheers to you.
We'll taste of this. We'll start it off the right way. And so, we're doing this series about all the things that are special about South Jersey and unique about South Jersey. And I find that I and many of our viewership likes things to do with alcohol. And I think I love especially the local. You can't go anywhere else and get what you have here. So what inspired you to do this, Marvin?
Sure. So, well, the inspiration came many moons ago. I actually started home brewing in college. So I graduated college in '97. So it's been some time. Sometime around 2012, I helped a friend move across the country, and I was known at the time as a beer snob, so I was one of the early adopters of craft brewing.
Okay.
And so we mapped out a tour across the country from Palo Alto, California to Chicago, Illinois.
Really?
And it took us about 3 weeks, and we met a lot of wonderful people.
Okay.
And by the time we hit Oklahoma, we stopped at a brewery and talked to the family that owned it. And after that conversation, I decided I wasn't sure when or how, but we were going to open up a brewery.
Nice.
So we did.
Very nice. And so how long has Swedesboro Brewing been here?
Swedesboro Brewing launched, so its opening day was May 15th, 2021.
Okay.
However, we were supposed to open November 2020, and we all know that story. So without getting into the details of that, the planning started in 2019. We were originally supposed to open, so our logo says established 2020, because officially that's when we were going to open.
Yeah.
And then we just delayed about 6 months, and we were received with open arms from the town. We love the town. We've been here a long time. I've lived in Swedesboro for about 12 years.
Nice.
I actually transplanted from Columbus, Ohio. We lived in Burlington County, New Jersey for some time.
Okay.
We moved to Columbus, Ohio, and recruited for business.
Right.
And when we moved back, we looked for a profile in the town that would fit our needs. And that's when we found Swedesboro.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So I love it out here. The mix of people coming for land and space, the openness, right? So it seems to a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, is in bringing the industry to where you are, I think, which is very cool. I'm guilty of that too. But that's awesome. And so your inspiration was your trek from Palo Alto to the middle of the country. What inspired the names of your brews?
Sure.
Right?
Yes. So when we first moved to Swedesboro, and truth be told, I didn't know much about Swedesboro. I actually looked it up online, and the demographic matched where we were coming from in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
As I mentioned, we lived here for about 12 years. Well, in the first couple of years, we fell in love with the heritage of the town and the people that we met. So as I became kind of I'm a history nerd to begin with, but as I became familiar and really started to understand the origin of this town, which is actually one of the oldest towns in America.
It is.
I think it was founded in 1640 or 1638.
Yes. That's a great history.
And so I started looking into all that. I met the folks from the Historical Society. And you just learn little stories over time. And I realized that not a lot of people even living in the town knew the stories.
Right.
For example, Raccoon Creek, and I'm sure you hear Raccoon many names.
Yes.
Raccoon
Valley Swim Club. There's Raccoon everything.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so I still find it surprising when people come in that live in the town and ask why our mascot is a raccoon. And I tell them, well, the early settlers, when they started fur trading with the Native Americans here, the Naritican tribe, Naritican translates to raccoon. So a lot of the English-speaking people who settled here refer to it unofficially as Raccoon Town. So that's one of the small little tips and facts. And when I started learning all these sound bites, I thought, what a great platform to share these stories. And so every one of our beers tie into some historical factor of the area. Not just Swedesboro per se, even though the whopping majority of them are Swedesboro. We have a beer called Wee Elephant, which is a Scottish ale, and it's named after a story from Elephant Swamp Trail.
Oh, okay.
And Elephant Swamp Trail, rumor has it that there was a circus that came through and lost an elephant in the swamp. And so there's stories about this elephant. You could still hear or see them every so often.
I was just on that trail recently and know exactly what you were talking about. Yeah.
So we named the beer after that to tell that legacy story.
I love that. I love the idea of legacy because South Jersey, I mean, I came here, I kept moving further and further south until I felt like I could breathe, right? So now I have my family here and they actually really like it here, which is kind of unusual for kids actually wanting to stick around the area. It's nice, but to see other people coming and making it more of a legacy for everybody.
And it's businesses like this and the small ice cream parlors that are opening up and things like that that are really starting to give this old world feel, kind of hometown.
Yes.
But we need more of these types of businesses.
Agreed.
And so we don't have to travel 30 minutes away. So opening up again, we were received with open arms. When we opened up the brewery, the government of the town actually changed ordinances about a decade ago to make it brewery friendly.
Oh,
so
nice.
when we met the officials like Mayor Tom Fromm, we were received with open arms, and they did everything they could to help support us opening up. In fact, they're still helping us with regulations and things like that today. So, and that's really important if the towns want to evolve and grow, as Swedesboro does and has been.
Yes.
Inviting companies like ours to want to settle down, plant roots,
and making it easy to thrive, making it easy to thrive, which doesn't always happen in government. I won't go into that side of my podcast. So we won't go there. But you've got some other interesting parts to your background. So when you walk in here, I see mugs with numbers on them. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So we have what we call a mug club membership.
Okay.
And we started it the first year. We actually did it as a reward for those early supporters.
Okay.
So we want to do something special for them. So we thought it was going to be small and quaint and just for a select few. And then the response was overwhelming.
Nice.
So we hurried up and shifted it. We have some that are lifetime members, which was a one-time thing. Once they were filled, they're complete.
Right.
So we have about 60 lifetime members. And then every year we open up the membership for an annual basis.
Okay.
And we have just under 150 annual members.
Nice. So when you come in, and we'll show some shots of it, there's some beautiful ceramic mugs that you can see displayed behind the bar area. And as you walk in and look around the room, you see these glass mugs, and it's really cool. But the other thing I noticed was some skateboards.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Sure. So part of our branding, many breweries and the lingo in the business is when a new beer is coming out, we refer to it as what's on deck. And so the idea of having a skateboard deck was a nice homage to skateboarding as a child. So, growing up, I rode BMX bikes, rode skateboards, and many people that are coming to the breweries now who are have graduated beyond hanging out at a bar, they still like to go out and entertain, and they still like to have a nice cold beer. And so a lot of these people are my age.
Right.
So the music that we play and the vibe that we give off, and even some of the artwork that we share, like the skateboards, all pay homage to our kind of younger days.
Nice. Very nice. And so how often do you brew? Forgive me, I don't know a lot about beer, and I'm sure there's plenty of people listening that won't either. So how long does it take to brew a vat? What are the terms here?
Sure, no problem. No problem. So we still refer to beer size by barrels.
Okay.
And so barrels, you can't see it on the screen right now, but just behind the camera, there's wooden barrels.
Right.
That's up until the 50s. That's how beer was transported.
Okay.
It wasn't until the 50s when these aluminum kegs that we're more accustomed to seeing, which are often referred to as a half barrel.
Okay.
So a keg is 50% of a barrel,
right.
But we still use the term barrel as measuring size of machines, equipment, or even a brew.
Okay.
And so our system is a 10-barrel system. That means every time we can brew a batch of about 20 kegs worth of beer.
Okay.
Takes us about 4 hours to complete the process.
Right.
And then once we put it into the tanks behind us, which are fermenting tanks, we introduce yeast. And yeast eat the kind of sugary substance that we created, and they produce two kind of byproducts. One being pure ethyl alcohol, which we love. That's when you see on the side of a beer bottle or can, ABV, that means alcohol by volume.
Right.
We try to keep ours around 5 to 6%, so it's a nice what we call session beer, meaning you can drink them all day and they're not really potent. But we do have a few kind of delicate beers, or delicacy beers, if you will, that are a little higher, maybe 10%.
Got it.
And so the yeast, they'll take anywhere between 10 to 31 days to complete their process, depending on the style of beer. For example, your peanut butter beer, that takes about 11 days to ferment, and it goes through a process about 14 days to serve.
Got it.
But however, our Czech Pilsner, like this one here, the really light kind of really refreshing looking, almost like champagne, if you will.
Yeah.
Can take upwards of 30 days
Okay.
to complete.
Really interesting. So I was going to say, for the record, I love this. This is good. I've always said earlier, kind of a wine grove established this. But I can come in here, and a lot of times I've been to breweries and there's nothing for me to drink. So I'm like, I'll have water. I don't want to be stick in the mud and go there. But this is lovely.
Thank you.
I gotta say, my brother was here recently. I told you, and we raved about it, and so I'm giving this a big heads up for sure.
Well, my wife, Michelle, she's not a beer drinker either.
Okay.
And everybody finds that ironic because we invested so much into a brewery. However, I did introduce her to a stout, which does not taste like a typical beer. I would say this tastes closer to a national brand than you would expect.
Yep.
Whereas a stout has a very unique flavor, kind of a coffee profile, if you will. And then we add the chocolate and peanut butter, and it just makes it a dessert.
Amazing.
So she started drinking stouts, and she liked them. And now we recently introduced a summer shandy, a lemon shandy, and she loves that beer. So the fruit flavors, the sours, even some of the darker stouts really kind of appeal to the palate of those that aren't accustomed to drinking beer.
Right. Something for everybody.
That's
Kind
right.
of thing, right?
We also do a seltzer now, which is
do you really?
and we flavor it 14 different ways. So when you come in, you can find you want really sugary or sour, you can get something like watermelon or cherry. And if you want something rather basic, you can even get a root beer flavor.
That's awesome. Again, I love that. Certainly, it's a challenge running a brewery in this environment with some of the things that the lawmakers are doing and trying to do. You can't have food here. You can't, can you bring food here?
We can, yeah. So we have we're kind of a BYOF, if you will, bring your own food. We've made friends with all the restaurants in the area. In fact, many of the larger restaurants were the first to put our beer on tap.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a misconception that there's a tension between restaurants and bar owners. I can tell you, and breweries, and I can tell you with certainty, at the local level in the small town, it couldn't be any further from the truth. I can't say what the agenda is for the larger restaurants, franchise restaurants, if you will, but that's not what the town's made of.
Yeah,
at least here.
I see it here. I see it around the area, and I don't see the tension either. It's kind of largely made up in other areas, but on a more positive side. So, but you mentioned your wife Michelle. Does she come here often? Like, do your kids come here? Like, tell me a little bit about. Is this a family affair?
It's not a family affair. My wife does love the brewery. We met a lot of wonderful people to become our friends, and we've only been open now for a little over a year.
Right.
But we've met a lot of new friends as a result of the brewery. She loves the activities she loves the beer fest that we go to. But she's a nurse. She works for Jefferson. She's a full-time nurse, and she has her profession.
Right.
This is mine. So, and we kind of keep it separate. So she doesn't work the brewery. She does help out and volunteer. She does help with shopping. I mean, we're really literally doing everything.
Yeah.
Our kids also love the idea of the brewery. My daughter lives in Vail, Colorado.
Nice.
So she moved away with her boyfriend. They've been out there for a couple of years now. And my son moved away to Eastern Tennessee. He went to ETSU University, and when he graduated, one of the state biology labs hired him right out of school. Yeah. So him and his girlfriend live it, and they've been out there for quite I think almost 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
And so when they come back, they love the activities. They come back for some of the big events. They came back for the anniversary, etc. And they love the idea of going to the brewery.
Nice, very cool. And so, if someone coming in here for the first time, I mean, your bartender, I think his name is Freddie, was wonderful. I walked in, and I came a couple minutes early. You weren't quite open yet. He was jumped on, and he was very sweet, very attentive, and it's a great location here, right? So you've got beautiful mature trees around. You've got some outdoor space where you can sit that's covered. You've got the indoors. It's a great little area. I mean, what else do I need to know about your vision here?
Sure. Well, first of all, I've been really blessed with the staff here. When we first opened up, a couple of people that interviewed were teachers, and so that's kind of like a part-time job. And since then, and it was not by design, it was by chance, happenstance, if you will. And almost all of our team are teachers or work for the school district of some sort, and have been with me almost everyone has been with me from the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah. So the again, not to make this about regulations, there are a lot of new regulations, not new, but enforced regulations that are tied to our license.
Yes.
That limit the activities that we can have in the brewery.
Really?
Yeah. So again, not to everybody has a job to do. We abide by the rules, but yeah, we would love to. Like early on, we started with events at the brewery. at different times. And some are successful, meaning some generate revenue with drinking,
Right.
but some are just a social activity.
Right.
We had painting classes, for example, like around Christmas time, you would
Yeah.
pick. And I think our number one seller was water at that time, because a lot of people who came weren't beer drinkers,
Right.
which was okay.
They were introduced to something different,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But then we have other events, or had other events like comedy shows and even karaoke,
Nice.
which is not available in this area.
You're right.
No bar is doing it
Right.
right now. And so we had those, and they were very successful.
Nice.
So we'll weather the storm and wait and see where the regulations are, because most of the enforced regulations are around entertainment and not necessarily beer safety and distribution.
Lovely.
So we're waiting to see where that goes. We're optimistic,
Right.
and if things change, we'll probably be the first to offer unique experiences that you can't get right now in the town. And that's our primary objective, is to find unique experiences that we can offer that may not have been offered in the past and may not be offered in the future.
Right. It's a community, it's a place to gather,
Sure.
right? It's a place to gather and have new experiences and like enjoy this wonderful peanut butter beer.
We've been focused this year on distribution.
Okay.
So we sell a lot of beer and kegs to bars and restaurants. I think
Nice.
we're in 14 now in the South
Wow.
Jersey area.
Okay.
Yeah, and we recently hired a salesperson. So
Okay.
we're working on expansion. Our goal is to deliver and produce and deliver beer for outside sales, just
Okay.
as much as inside sales.
Good.
But to have an experience, much like a winery,
Yep.
for beer,
Yep.
a local watering hole, is something that most people were really interested in. When you go to a bar, and this is again not a comparison, just a reality, they sell a lot of national beers. So
Yes.
it may look like you have 12 beers from tap, but if you understand the styles of the beers, there's 10 lagers and maybe 2 specialty beers, maybe an Oktoberfest and shandy.
Right.
When you come here, there's 21 beers on tap. There are 21 different styles. We don't
Wow.
have 2 lagers, so you have a real diversity. So when people come here, it's about experiencing beers that they can't find in other
Okay.
places. And I think that's the complementary difference between a bar
Sure.
and a brewery.
Right. You're a specialty. You're showing the full breadth. And I understand you can get beer flights, kind of like
Yes.
right? So that's kind of cool. So you can come and taste a bunch of different things.
And only 4 ounces at a time. So you don't have to worry about, really, you can try 4 different beers for the same volume as a pint.
That's smart. That's smart. I'm that kind of girl. I love it. I love it. So anything else that our viewers should know about you and Swedesboro Brewing?
Well, we are now integrating with other towns. So, for example, South Harrison is where I live. South Harrison is a dry town. When I met with the council there, they were very open to a beer garden, things like that. So
Oh,
now
nice.
they have South Harrison once a year. They're now going to do a 2-day festival in October, and we're going to call it a fall festival.
Mhm.
And we're going to represent there for them so we can serve alcohol to the community, beer garden, if you
Right.
will. And they're going to have a fair and a carnival and rides for the kids and things like that. So that's what's really nice about what we can do. Well, actually, everyone can do, but what we've been doing for small towns is we've been bringing, cold beverages for them and kind of round out the
Bring in a different experience because when you're out at those festivals and the kids are doing all sorts of fun things, it's good for mom and dad to be able to have a libation and it gives you a chance to further your reach a little bit.
And Swedesboro is doing food trucks Thursday of every month.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
How
so
cool.
for the summer, they do 3 of them. So June, July, and August.
Yeah.
And we were invited to be the beer garden for all 3.
Ah, nice. Very cool. Very nice. And so do you have any other long-term what's on the dream scope?
Yeah, so one of the biggest, most ambitious goals would be to create a destination brewery. So right now, this is a wonderful space. You can see the side of it. We're in a retail area, and our landlord's wonderful. If I had an I wish statement, it would be to create a standalone entity that people can travel from Delaware and from other places and hang out and also experience the town and possibly even move to the area. So if we're a destination, we feel that we can help with tourism in South Jersey.
100%.
We're also part of Two Bridges Wine, Beer, and Spirits.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Bo Raines runs that.
Yeah.
And so she's really working hard to develop, kind of this destination tourism for South Jersey. And so we're trying to be part of that as well. And in Swedesboro, there's a distillery and a winery, develop wineries and
Yeah.
independent distillery.
Yeah.
And we work together to try to figure out how
Nice.
we can get more activity so people would be excited to come to Swedesboro.
Yeah, no, one of the things, it's funny because as a realtor, most people think I want to see all of the grounds just leveled and more houses come in. And I'm like, listen, people come here for the experience and they like the space. And agritourism and the individuality of what we have going here is what draws people in.
That's right.
People come to Swedesboro, they come to Mulligan Hill, they come to Hatfield, they come to these areas and go, I want to be here. It's because of entrepreneurs that take the risk and do something different and special that really makes it a destination.
And it might not happen this year, but we're working with the town to introduce the first beer fest in Swedesboro.
Ah, that's a
Where we
great
can
idea.
invite, 30 or so breweries to the area and other vendors, and then bring people from outside of Swedesboro to experience the town.
Right, the synergy, make it a bigger thing. That's a beautiful thing. That's a great way to end it. So, Marvin, thank you again very much for the libations and your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
It is much appreciated. Yeah, much appreciated. Again, I'm Nancy Kowalik, your South Jersey Main Street real estate agent, here with Marvin Bowe at Swedesboro Brewing Company. You should put this on your list of destinations to come check out in South Jersey. In the meantime, go out and make it a great day.
We would love to have you. Cheers.